Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending this event. My name is Neil Kosman. I'm a solution architect with Tricentis. And I have been involved in automation for a long, long time, back since the Y2K days in terms of how organizations transition from legacy systems and ultimately move from mainframe platforms to applications very much like SAP. And since that time, I've been involved in automating a lot of different technologies. Now, the good news is, for those customers that are already doing Tosca with SAP, well, we've been supporting it for a long time. So you're probably saying, why are we even here? Because we've had a great solution as it relates to being able to support the Tosca platform. But I want to talk a bit about some of the innovations that we've done as it relates to the new capabilities, new platforms that we support, and the fact that we kind of do a little bit more than just your traditional SAP GUI type of testing. So the good news, as SAP has transitioned over the years, they've been really pushing more web-enabled technology as it relates to the deployment of applications. So the idea, as the organizations have transitioned to these new technologies, from a testing perspective, we've always wanted to make sure that we're able to support all the different platforms that SAP provides to its install base. We're also seeing a large trend as customers are moving towards S/4HANA. They're also looking at using different devices as it relates to the testing they need to perform. So it's more than just using desktop devices, it's using iPads, it's using tablets. And the nice thing about how Tosca works is when I build a test case on a web platform, I can automatically re-execute that on a tablet device from a Fiori perspective. So there's really nice integration between using our technology across the different device platforms an organization has. Now, the reality is that if you think of what S/4HANA is all about, for the most part, really what it's doing is it's kind of a rebranding of the platform. It's not going to be called ECC anymore. It's going to be called S/4HANA. It's changing the database platform to be an in-memory database. And the key is, over the years, they've come up with different flavors of the Fiori interface. And the good news from our perspective, and you can see on the slide, we're still supporting the different UIs and adjustments that they made based on the different versions of S/4HANA. So we're able to build the automation on all those platforms. And of course, the advantage of the model-based approach is that the look and feel is the same regardless of what the SAP interface is. Hybris is definitely getting a lot of interest in the marketplace. So really, in the end, what it's become down to is that this has become an e-commerce platform for organizations. In fact, Hybris is introducing SAP technology to a lot of non-standard SAP accounts. So they may have a different ERP system or system of record, but they're looking at Hybris to provide their e-commerce platform and the marketing platform for different products. So again, out of the box with Tosca, we're able to support that particular technology set. And it's interesting, their CRM platform, which was called SAP CRM, is now branded C4HANA. So SAP is doing a great job of remarketing their technology to leverage the HANA name, which I know they spend a lot of money on. Hold on here. There we go. SuccessFactors is another platform we're seeing a lot of interest in. Again, another platform that's introducing SAP technology to non-traditional SAP accounts. Organizations are looking at better ways to improve their ability to manage the HR process and the recruitment of individuals to the organization. So again, out of the box, we were able to support this technology. And when we talk a bit about the accelerator pack extensions we've done, we now have out-of-the-box test cases that an organization can leverage to be able to do their testing of SuccessFactors. Come on. There we go. Concur, yet another application that SAP acquired to manage the process related to the travel management and expense management of an organization. Yet another flavor of HTML that SAP has in their stack of technologies. And of course, Tosca out of the box supports that particular platform as per this example test case. Ariba is a technology they acquired a number of years ago to handle the procurement process. So organizations are looking at different ways of being able to provide cloud-based solutions to manage their procurement activities, and Ariba seems to be the platform of their choice. And again, you're seeing less of SRM technology and more of the newer technology from SAP with Ariba, which of course Tosca supports. Okay. Now, one area that SAP is finally being able to do is expose their technology at the API level. So for those that are familiar with Tosca, we obviously do all the different UI testing that I just mentioned, but we also do API testing. So the idea there is that SAP OData is their kind of first foray into being able to extract information out of the SAP ecosystem at the API level. So we can start extracting information out of that platform and be able to reuse that in part of test cases. We recently announced the ability to do the same sort of thing with remote function calls, RFC requests. So we can actually create a request for a remote function call and validate the response as part of our API technology. We did the same thing with iDocs. So iDocs is a great way of transferring information from external systems into SAP. So what we could do as part of our testing is submit an iDoc, validate that SAP got that iDoc request, then log into SAP and then confirm the hierarchy of the information that the iDoc represents. So now we're doing more at the API level within the SAP ecosystem in conjunction with the UI testing. Okay. Data warehousing testing. So a lot of people have used BI and BW technology for SAP for years. Tosca has always been able to support that UI. You're seeing obviously a lot of customers have business objects as the more modern look and feel in terms of their data warehousing activity. So we've always been able to provide the capability of supporting the UI interface. But with our BI technology, and we have a great booth that talks in more detail about it, we're actually able to do more data validation activities as the data warehouse is being built. So the idea is that we can do things like the use cases where we're replicating information from ECC to BW. We can validate and do table comparisons as the information moves from the master data or transactional information into the data warehouse. Or if you're merging information, say, from flat files and third-party files, we're able to, again, validate the structure of those particular files well before they actually get inside of the data warehouse themselves. So we're leveraging our generic data warehousing capability, but now applying it to the specific technology that's provided within SAP. So again, a different use case from a testing perspective, but all still built on our lovely Tosca technology. Okay. Now, we've always had accelerator packs in terms of providing pre-built content for an organization. So the idea behind an accelerator pack is that we want customers to get automation quicker and be able to build automation based on what I would call kind of standard traditional transactions. So we've always had this content specifically in the area of ECC in terms of the typical order to cash, procure to pay type of transactions. But now we have pre-built content specifically for the Fiori environment. So in terms of things like finance and sales related to Fiori, as well as PM and PP type of activities. Just recently, we announced accelerator packs both for Hybris as well as SuccessFactors. So a lot of customers say, do you support these platforms? And we say, absolutely, we support these platforms, but we also provide you kind of out-of-the-box test cases that you can take advantage of, adjust based on the customizations you would have done for those cloud-based applications, and you're kind of, have information available to you utilize that much faster. Okay. Solution Manager, obviously, is a topic that SAP talks a lot about in terms of trying to get customers to adopt this platform. So a lot of customers use Solution Manager to deal with patch management type of activities, but they're really trying to push their capability in the area of test management as well as impact analysis. So one of the things we've done, and we've been actually certified on this environment for Solution Manager 7.2 now for over 18 months, but we want to have the ability for organizations that are truly going down the Solution Manager path from a testing perspective. We wanted to be able to confirm that we can support all the different integration touch points that SAP wants us to. So the next slide talks a bit about kind of the role of where Tosca plays as it relates to Solution Manager. So in terms of things like solution documentation, obviously Tosca has risk-based testing. We want to be able to use the information that gets captured as part of the solution documentation, extract that information out of Solution Manager, put it into Tosca, and start going through the risk management process to make sure that you're focusing on the right automation activities, right? When it comes to the test cases themselves, obviously you're using Tosca to build the automation, but we want to be able to give you the capability of leveraging data that could be stored within SAP. So we want to be able to use their test data containers versus, say, potentially our test data management solution. We support that integration. We also have the ability to not, once you built the automation, be able to actually execute the automation from their testing workbench. So use that as a launch pad to be able to execute the test cases. And the big area where we're getting a lot of conversation is around the area of Business Process Change Analyzer. For those that are not familiar with BPCA, that's the acronym, what it allows you to do is understand the contents of transports, and based on the objects that are being adjusted in the transport, identify which transaction codes are being impacted. So the key is that what it allows you to do is that if a transaction is being changed, guess what? It can actually flag the automation that you need to execute to validate that change is not going to cause a negative impact to your business process. So there's two key things that you need for that particular capability. One is something you see on the far right there called technical bill of materials. And really what that says is that these are all the objects that are contained within a transaction. So the nice thing about Tosca, we can automate the creation of those technical bill of materials as part of the process. So when you then go through the process of running a business process change analyzer and understanding the changes being deployed in transport, guess what? It knows exactly what transactions are being impacted, and then we can leverage that information, bring that into Tosca, and execute just the test cases that are related to those transactions that are being changed. So it's a very powerful impact analysis story. But it does require an organization to go through the process of standing up Solution Manager, which realistically is easier said than done. So the last thing I'm going to kind of mention here is that even though there's a lot of talk about the new technologies within the SAP realm, I'm based out of North America, and it's amazing how probably 90% of the customers still use SAP GUI, right? There may be pockets of Fiori in different groups, but the majority of the people still use the legacy SAP GUI. And I would have thought by now, in 2018, going to 2019, it would be gone, but I think it's still going to be here for a while. So what we've learned based on that activity is the fact that we want to be able to have an ability to very quickly leverage information that a business analyst has from the SAP GUI world and give that to the testers, and so they can start using the model-based approach of Tosca. But the challenge in the past, the recorder that we have really didn't work at the speed or the pace of a business analyst. We wanted to be able to, because they've been using that technology for so long, when you look at an accounts payable clerk, they're typing as fast as you can imagine. They know all the shortcuts and all the ways of being able to do their business activities as fast as possible. So what we've introduced is a new recorder for SAP. So the idea behind it, it's still using the same recording capability that you see within Tosca, but what it's now doing is working at the speed of the end user performing the activity. So the idea is that it's not scanning kind of field by field. It allows the business analyst to perform their traditional activities. We're listening in the background, and we're building the test cases as fast as the person is able to perform the activity. So what it does allow you to do is now really engage the business analyst to be part of the testing conversation, collect that business knowledge that's valuable from a testing perspective, but kind of do it at the speed in terms of their capabilities, right? So very quickly, once that activity is performed, you're obviously going to get the modules that you require, you're going to get the test steps, and then you go through and obviously enhancing the test case based on that foundational information that we picked up through the recorder. And of course, even though we talk a lot about the SAP ecosystem, there's always other applications that surround that SAP infrastructure. So the nice thing about our platform, not only do we support the latest and greatest from an SAP perspective, but we support over 140 different technologies and platforms that allow you to start creating true end-to-end business scenarios. So if you go to our booth, you'll see an example of a scenario that has SAP as part of the end-to-end test, but it still includes a mainframe, it includes a Salesforce, it includes API test cases all within one particular scalable end-to-end test cases. So we want to make sure that we can support the ecosystem that surrounds the SAP platform. And that's it. So we're doing pretty good for time. I did that in about 12 minutes. You can ask me any questions, and like a typical presenter, I could just deflect you to the actual booth themselves, but I do have a lot of experience in the SAP world, so if you do have some technical questions, you can ask me now or just come see us at the booth and we'll go through some good scenarios. But that's my session. Thank you.